An icy storm continues to batter states from the Mexican border right up to the Midwest. Millions of homes are still without power, and some expect things to get worse before they get better. Officials say the Texas power grid is suffering a system-wide failure. Jason Isaac, a former member of the Texas House of Representatives, tells me the state's renewable energy sources, wind and solar, haven't been able to stick the extreme conditions. He's now the director at Life Powered at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. It's an energy think tank. I spoke with him earlier and asked him how people were feeling there.
Well, I can tell you've got millions of people in the state of Texas that don't have any electricity at all. Some of it's caused by ice building up on power lines and taking those power lines down, as that's the case in the area where I am, where I have several neighbors that don't have electricity, but we do. Very fortunate in that aspect. But there are millions of people throughout the state who I hope don't have breathing machines at their homes, like family members of mine. They have no electricity.
Incredible. And any idea of when we might know very serious concerns like these?
Well, the worst is not behind us. In fact, tonight, probably around 8 o'clock Texas time, Central Time, is when we're really going to see the worst of it. Wind generation is going to drop off to even lower than where it is right now, which is about 10% of its installed capacity. That is more than what our regulators have predicted would be available. But tonight, about 8 p.m., you'll see wind almost completely drop off. And you'll see solar out of the question whatsoever. So our unreliables will quit contributing to the grid, where our reliables will have to pick up our natural gas, our coal, and our nuclear. And we are facing severe shortages of natural gas as more and more people are using that to heat their homes at this point in time, and hospitals and schools, which most are closed today. And I'm getting alerts that both of our boys' schools will be closed tomorrow as well. But the incredible demand increasing for natural gas, and so you might have some issues where the natural gas electric generation drops off as well.
What are the emergency services doing to get you guys back in order?
Well, I know you've got electric crews out around the state working in really single-digit temperatures right now, trying to repair lines throughout the state to return power to people's homes. In some areas where the lines aren't presenting a problem because we don't have enough electric demand or enough electric generation here in the state, you're seeing rolling outages, aka blackouts or brownouts. People are actually having their electricity shut off in certain parts of the state because the generation is just not there. And you look over the last 4 years in our reliable electric generation, we've lost over 4,000 megawatts of reliable, but the unreliables have grown significantly, over 20,000 megawatts of unreliables, but they're barely contributing to the grid right now.
So what does this mean in simple terms, reliables, unreliables? What do you mean?
Well, reliables are our nuclear, our natural gas, and our coal. They can ramp up and ramp up down. Well, natural gas and coal can ramp up or ramp down, really on demand to meet the needs. It's what's referred to as dispatchable electricity. Our unreliables, they produce electricity when the wind is blowing or the sun is shining. And then they freeze up in really cold temperatures too. So our Electric Reliability Council of Texas reported today that over half of our wind generators, these windmills, are frozen. They're completely shut down. And the rest of them are barely producing any electricity. At last check just moments ago, 10% of their installed capacity was producing electricity. That means if we had that kind of low number for natural gas or coal or nuclear, we would have almost the entire state without electricity right now. But fortunately, we have reliables. But unfortunately, we've subsidized and depend too much on virtue signaling and really given these unreliables incredibly huge benefits over the last decade. And now those chickens are coming home to roost.
And I saw that the ERCOT wholesale energy prices have shot through the roof. Is it going to be a big bill coming for you guys at the end of this?
Yeah, and that's why there's not only messages for people to conserve their electricity so that they can manage their bills that are going to be coming due, but this is very similar to a late August timeframe in Texas, where we don't have a lot of wind that are helping our grid in keeping electric reliability up. And so costs are going to skyrocket, not only for the providers, but those costs ultimately get pushed down to the consumers. And so, yes, people will see probably August-like electric bills here in Texas here in the beginning of February, just with this unprecedented cold snap that we're seeing.
Incredible, Mr. Isaac. We wish you guys all the best there, and we'll get an update from you in the future. Thank you so much and good luck.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me on.
You'll remember California also saw blackouts during last year's heat waves. Again, many blaming the failure of renewable energy sources. But some state lawmakers there still think it's the way forward and want to build more offshore wind farms. But aside from the performance issues that we're seeing, what will it mean for your energy bills? NTD's Zach Lee takes a look.
With the help of the Biden administration, California is doubling down on expanding its renewable energy. On February 10th, California lawmakers proposed a new bill requiring the state to build large-scale offshore wind farms with 10,000 megawatt capacities by 2040. This is part of the larger plan to achieve 100% renewable energy by 2045. Michael Hoskinson, a planning commissioner in Huntington Beach, California, is worried that the current renewable energy plan might not be as affordable and reliable as traditional power plants.
Because the more intermittent energy they put out there, the higher the likelihood of blackouts and brownouts when the wind stops blowing and the sun's gone at night.
Last year, the state had a blackout that left hundreds of thousands of people without power twice. Hoskinson said that California is not building up enough reliable energy sources because of draconian environmental standards that have been created in the last 20 years.
You're also removing sources of energy. You've removed nuclear plants up and down the coast. You've shuttered gas-fired plants. So you've taken away capacity for generation of good, solid energy, and you've replaced it with intermittent energy of solar and wind and things of that nature. So I think this is why they have to go out to other states and bring the power in.
California is the second largest consumer of energy in the U.S., but also the largest importer of out-of-state energy. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, in 2019, California's net electricity imports were the largest in the country at 70.8 million megawatt hours, or 25% of the state's total electricity supply. Hoskinson said transporting energy across state lines results in a 7% loss of power. And as a result, the state has seen a 30% growth in electricity rates from 2011 to 2019.
If renewable energy were able to compete in the open market, they wouldn't have to subsidize it.
Though the newly proposed offshore wind farm didn't reveal how much it will cost, according to the Institute for Energy Research, an offshore wind farm is 3.4 times more expensive than a natural gas power plant. Reporting by Zach Lee, NTD News, Los Angeles.
And ironically, oil prices are at their highest level in 13 months. The increases are fueled by heightened tensions in the Middle East and global production cuts. Kira Lee reports.
Oil prices soared on Monday. Fears of heightened tensions in the Middle East prompted fresh buying, pushing prices to their highest in around 13 months. Brent crude was up as much as 1.6% in morning trade, while US benchmark futures gained over 2%. Monday's rally follows last week's oil price gains of around 5%. Concerns are growing over the Middle East. On Sunday, the Saudi-led coalition fighting in Yemen said it had intercepted and destroyed an explosive drone. State TV reports say it was fired towards the kingdom by the Iran-aligned Houthi group. Analysts say the tensions prompted the early spike in trading. Others say it was also driven by growing hopes that US stimulus and easing of lockdowns will boost the economy and fuel demand. Oil prices have also been supported in recent weeks as supplies tighten. That's due largely to production cuts by the OPEC group of producer nations and its allies.
And social media platform Parler is apparently back online today. The CEO says it's safe and secure now thanks to a new server. NTD's Tom Ozimek reports.
Social media platform Parler resumed service Monday. The app was taken down about a month ago when Amazon removed Parler from its servers. Interim CEO Mark Meckler says it's up and running now on a new server farm. Meckler said, "We are off of the big tech platform so that we can consider ourselves safe and secure for the future." Parler promotes itself as a free speech platform. The app has attracted many conservatives who disagree with rules around content on social media sites like Facebook and Twitter. It saw a spike in interest after the November election and after Twitter suspended Donald Trump. But following the January 6th Capitol breach, Parler was accused of not doing enough to prevent the spread of posts inciting violence. First, Google and Apple locked Parler out of their app stores, and days later Amazon suspended its web hosting service, after which Parler effectively went dark. Meckler says new users should be able to sign up for the service in the next week or so.